Are you stuck in late night binge eating? It never actually allows you to get to your goal weight. I totally get it. I've had coaching clients who used to be stuck in that also. And the big problem with it is it just doesn't help you move that scale down because it's always like taking one step forward and 5 steps back with each one of those late night binges. So today I have some suggestions for you. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. Today is episode number 546. The topic, 3 tips to beat the late night binge. Hello, welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. And if this is your first time tuning in, I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that is not your typical diet, because this is the kind of diet you need if you really want to solve your overeating and overweight problems. The Inner Self Diet goes to the root of the issues. It is the mental and the emotional diet that you need so that you could finally stop binge eating, stop emotional eating, stop getting in your own way, stop sabotaging yourself, stop being afraid of success or whatever the problem is that is personally holding you back from getting to your goal weight and staying there. And if you're not sure what that problem is, that's very common. The way that you know that you have a problem that is a mental and an emotional problem getting in your way of your weight loss goals is because you know exactly what you could be doing to lose weight right now. You know exactly how to eat healthy. You know everything about living a healthy lifestyle, but you're not doing it. And when you do it, you get in your own way and you can't stop taking yourself off track with the emotional eating forays into the ditch and the binge eating blowouts into the weekend and on and on and on and on and on. And it's not funny. I'm not laughing about this. I'm not laughing at you. The reason that I'm kind of chuckling is because I've been there before. I totally understand what it's like. I totally get how frustrating it is because you know what you could be doing and you're not doing it. Well, you got to address, if you want to, you've got to address the root of the problem. Or you can just keep, fighting it out with another food diet. And if you're okay with the yo-yo thing and if you're okay with the frustration, that's another story. And then you don't need to ever look at the root of the problem. My awesome coaching clients want to look at the root of the problem, and they not only want to look at it, they want to go beyond it. They want the freedom from the struggle. And since 2009, I have been coaching smart, successful women and a few cool men to struggle-free weight loss in 8 weeks or less. I've never seen it fail. The only way that it can fail is if you don't do it. And why wouldn't you want to do it? Well, the truth is, food is highly addictive and some people just don't want to stop eating. Now, of course, you have to eat in order to live, but you don't have to eat the kind of food that you're eating in order to live. And it needs to change if you want to get the weight off, right? So it all depends on what you want. If you'd like to learn just a little bit more, head on over to www.easyfunweightloss.com. I have a free checklist there, which you can download. It's totally free. All you have to do is enter your first name and email address, and we will send it to you right away. And it will help you learn just a little bit more about this whole subject of the mental and emotional aspects of this whole problem. Because when you get right down to it, 92.8% of what is going to determine your success with your weight is your own mindset. It's how you think about it. It's how you feel about it, because that's where your behaviors come from. You make a decision based on a thought based on a belief, and a belief is just a thought you've been thinking for a really long time. So you decide how you're going to behave based on your thinking, and your thinking makes you feel a certain way, and then you behave a certain way because of that, and then you've got your weight problem. A really simple example, I can't lose weight. Other people can, I can't. Okay, so if that's what you believe, then of course you're not even going to try to live a healthy lifestyle because you believe you can't do it. The big struggle is that you still have a part of you that wants to lose weight. And the way that you know that is because you're listening to me talk right now. If you didn't have a part of you that still wanted to lose weight, you wouldn't be listening to me. You would have totally given up. And then you would be completely in alignment with just being overweight, fat, frumpy, and fed up. FFF, fat, frumpy, and fed up. You would be in alignment with that if you had totally given up. But you haven't totally given up because you're listening to me talk about this right now. And therefore, you have a struggle. Because you have a struggle between the part of you that wants to just eat whatever and, be out of control, and the part of you that wants to get fit, healthy, slender, sexy, awesome, feel your best, look your best in your jeans. That's the struggle. Anyway, like I said, you can get my free checklist at www.easyfunweightloss.com if you'd like to learn just a little bit more. And today, the topic that I'm sharing with you are 3 tips to beat the late night binge. All right, first tip is go back and listen to episode number 492 of the JoLynn Braley Show. And the reason that I suggest that is because in that episode, I define what binge eating really is. Because there are some who think that they are binge eaters when what's really going on is they're starving themselves throughout the day, and then they can't control their eating at night because they're famished. So the number one tip to beat the late night binge is don't do that. Don't starve yourself all day and then you're out of control eating all kinds of food at night. You have to eat. Well, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want to do, but it doesn't work for the human body if you don't eat when you're physically hungry, because your body needs fuel. And the way that your body tells you that it needs fuel is by letting you know that your body is physically hungry. Your stomach is physically hungry. A true binge eater isn't eating for physical hunger at all, because binge eating and emotional eating has nothing to do with physical hunger. This is why weight loss surgery fails 95% of the time, because it's not about physical hunger. Binge eating, emotional eating, late night stuffing, using food as a crutch, using food as your tool to get through life, none of that has to do with physical hunger. Using food as your only source of happiness, using food as the one thing that will soothe your anxiety. Nothing to do with physical hunger. That's why most who get weight loss surgery fail, because the weight loss surgery is just about addressing physical hunger and making the stomach smaller. So, first tip to beat the late night binge, don't starve yourself all throughout the day. You've got to be able to eat when you're physically hungry. And then that gets into other issues. For example, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust your body, if you don't trust your hunger signals. These are all problems that I have seen with my awesome coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet, who I've been, I started coaching, it was 14 years ago, back in 2009. So these are very common problems. And they're problems that a food diet can't fix, because these are the mindset problems. These are the mental and the emotional problems, the relationship problems that you have with food. There's a lot going on here. But if you can just simply do it, like Nike says, just do it. Don't starve yourself during the day. and then you won't be out of control with overeating and binging at night if that's the only problem. If that's the only reason that you're doing a late night binge is because you are absolutely starving. All right, number 2 tip to beat the late night binge. Go clean. Go clean. What do I mean? I mean, get off of all processed foods. You need to start cooking. You need to understand what it means to eat clean. You need to read your labels. If you aren't sure what I mean by eating clean, go to www.grabmygrocerylist.com, www.grabmygrocerylist.com. I have my basic staples of my clean eating grocery list there. And this is the same kind of food that I buy. This is what helped me lose 28.6 pounds. Get it at www.grabmygrocerylist.com, and that should give you a better understanding of what I mean by eating clean. And so, the number 2 tip to beat the late night binge is get off of all processed foods. Eat clean. And this is a lifestyle. This is not just one meal. This is a lifestyle. And the reason that I am giving you this as a tip is because there are a lot of binge eaters who are chemically dependent on the food. And it's that sugar, the excess sodium, the additives, the high fructose corn syrup, MSG, all kinds of different additives that are put in processed food to make you keep eating. And it's a great moneymaker for the processed food industry. And guess what? It makes you fat. And guess what? They don't care. They don't care. You have to care about yourself. And now that gets into another topic, which has to do with self-love, self-esteem, self-awareness. These are all things that's part of the bigger picture, which you would want to address within your inner self if you really want to be able to get the weight off and keep it off. Okay, that's part of the 92.8%. The food diet is 7.2% of the solution. So when you go clean and you get off of all of that processed, refined sugar and all of those extra ingredients that are in processed food, you will be much less likely to binge because you won't have that physical chemical component compelling you to. Have you ever heard before that sugar affects the brain in the same way that cocaine does? They have done studies on this. Refined sugar, and I'm talking about all of the sugar that's added to everything in processed food. It's in mayonnaise, it's in ketchup, it's in salad dressings, it's in everything. It's not just in desserts. It is highly addictive. Don't believe me? Then stop eating it. Just stop eating it now. What's the problem if you don't have a problem with it? If you don't have an addiction to it, you should be able to just stop right now. And the reason that you have had such struggles stopping is because it is addictive. This can be very depressing for a lot of people. And it gets in the way. It gets in the way of you getting to your goal weight because it's a dependency on those foods. And those foods are not helping you look your best, unfortunately. So then that gets into the fact that you need to have the mindset in order to really achieve what you want, to really get that weight off and keep it off. You've got to have the right mindset for it. You've got to have the right tools. You've got to have the support. You've got to start where you are. You know, you can't do all of this overnight. You start where you are. You take a little step, another little step. When you have a proven step-by-step system to follow, it's not that big of a deal. But you've got to, walk the path. that's something that you would do with your permanent weight loss coach. These tips that I'm giving you right here, these 3 tips, these are things that you can go do if you want to, and you can do them on your own. And if you already have the right mindset, it shouldn't be any problem. So number 1, make sure that you always eat when you're physically hungry. And of course, stop eating when you're physically full. Don't eat ever for just emotions or other signals. The number 2 tip to beat the late night binge is to get off of all processed foods and eat clean, because then you won't have that chemical push. You won't have that chemical driver to be motivating you to eat more and more and more and more. All right, so the number 3 tip to beat the late night binge, increase your level of self-awareness. So this is where you get away from just mindlessly doing the same things that you're used to doing, like a habit, and calling something a mindless habit is not necessarily a bad thing, because you can probably drive mindlessly from your driveway to your place of employment. You don't have to think about it, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's a habit, and it's a route that you've done before, and you've done it over and over and over and over again. Well, it's the same thing with your late night binge eating. Your brain makes it easier and easier and easier and easier for you to do that thing over and over and over and over and over again, the more times you do it over and over and over and over again. So then you don't even think about it anymore. You just do it. You get that impulse. You go stuff yourself, you feel bad, you tell yourself that you'll do better tomorrow, but then you do the same thing the next night, and you're not getting any closer to your goal weight. And then you beat yourself up and tell yourself you're going to make yourself stop, which doesn't work. And then you feel worse, and it creates a deeper rut. And unfortunately, your brain thinks that you want more of that because you keep doing it. So it's really a pickle, and it can be very, very, very frustrating. And I totally get it. I totally understand it. That's why I talk about all of this stuff that I talk about on the JoLynn Braley Show. That's why I can talk about it, because I have been there and I understand it. I'm speaking from experience. I totally know what it's like to feel like you're a loser because you know what you could be doing to be on track and you're not. The thing is that beating yourself up isn't going to help. But if you can start raising your level of awareness of what's going on, then you can start becoming more aware. So one tip for this is, if you can interrupt your next late night binge, and before you go do it, if you're able to, just get a pen and paper, maybe have it ready beforehand, and just pause and write one word on your paper that describes how you're feeling at that moment. How are you feeling at that moment? Not what you're thinking, but how are you feeling? And then after you do that, if you still go and you eat out of control, you have your late night binge, and then feel bad, have a pity party afterwards because that's what you're stuck in. But keep going with this one step, which it sounds really, really small, but it's more than what you're doing right now. At least you're interrupting your pattern for just a moment to tune in to how you're feeling and write that one word, pen on paper. What is that going to do for you? It's just simply going to help you become more aware of the emotions that are driving your eating that have nothing to do with physical hunger. If tip number 1 does not apply to you, which tip number 1, again, you want to go back to listen to episode 492 of the JoLynn Braley Show, because tip number 1 covers what really is not binge eating, because binge eating is not about physical hunger. So I would like to ask you if you have any questions, but this is a one-way communication. This is why Coaching with the right coach is so valuable because you can actually talk. You can actually get your own personal demons, your own personal roadblocks, your own personal issues out there to get help with them and solve them and get to the bottom of them so that you stop struggling with the binge. Stop struggling with whatever else is in your way. Negative self-talk, self-hate, self-deprecation, whatever it is, so that you can finally break free. So that you can break free of all of this darned stuff. If you really want to do that, and if it makes sense to you, if you're able to see that you need help and you want help and you believe that you're worth it, if you would love to stop asking yourself, why am I so smart and successful in all other areas of my life, but I can't get this one thing together where I want to lose weight and I want to gain control of my eating? If you want help to do this and you want to break free and get into the struggle-free zone within 8 weeks or less, go to bingeeating.com and apply for a complimentary binge breakthrough session with me. That's bingeeating.com. B as in binge, B as in breakthrough. This is a complimentary binge breakthrough session for the purpose of helping you to get out of your own way, to create a crystal clear vision for what you really want. What would happen if you really could stop binge eating? How would you look? How would you feel? What would you be doing? This complimentary binge breakthrough session will help you to uncover the hidden challenges that might be in your way right now. They might be sabotaging you. They might be roadblocks set up in front of you, which you're blind to them, which makes them even more dangerous because they're unconscious and they are holding you back. They're keeping you in that place where you just can't stop binging. And then leave this session feeling renewed, inspired, and hopeful to finally stop binging for good and actually lose the weight now. You can apply for this at www.bbsession.com. This is for you if you really want to stop asking yourself, why am I so smart and successful in all other areas of my life, but I just can't get my eating under control? I just can't seem to lose this weight. What is the problem? I know what I could be doing, but I just can't get it together, and I don't want to live like this anymore. Let's find out if or how I might be able to help you break free of your never-ending struggles to get that weight off and keep it off. Apply now for your very own binge breakthrough session. It's complimentary and you can get started at bbsession.com. In the meantime, see how you do with the 3 tips that I gave you today. And when we talk on the phone, tell me what happened. Tell me how you did. I would really like to hear about it. I'm JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that you need if you really want to get the weight off and keep it off. It's the mental and emotional diet that addresses what no food diet can address for you. I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body.